thank you so much for another day in this beautiful place you've given us to live and work and play. We pray for your hand of wisdom and guidance upon our time together, that the decisions we make may be in the best interest of our community and for all involved. Pray in Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Having had an opportunity to review the agenda, do I hear a motion to accept it as it's written? Are there any edits?
I'd like to suggest one edit for the agenda, if I may please, under the consent agenda, 5A. It lists a December 10th meeting, which did not happen, so I would like to change that to read adoption of the January 14th, 2020 special meeting minutes.
Thank you. Hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then the consent agenda stands as edited. Thank you very much. We will move to our public forum. If there is anyone who would like to speak, offer some opinions, words of wisdom, you're certainly welcome to do so. We ask that you limit it to 5 minutes and that you stand at the podium and let us know your name and your address. Is there anyone who would like to address the Marine Commission? Thank you very much then. All right, we will move on then to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The consent agenda is adopted. Old business. Do we have any old business to discuss? Then we'll move on to new business. First, under new business, request for approval for a lake commercial license for John Ayub, Keith Howell, and Paul Hanauer. Dean?
Yes, okay, this was reviewed at the Lake Advisory Board meeting last week, and they're requesting to come in as vacation rental. This would be after the November 1st deadline, so the $100 application fee would apply. And the Lake Advisory Board discussed it and made the motion that, or made the recommendation to you guys that we allow these boats to come in to the model, as there is room in the model for them.
Are there any questions for Dean?
Yeah, so on one of those, under JGI of NC LLC, of the 3 applications, the first one for John Ayub, he did not mark or check the 3 categories along the bottom of page 1 for logging hours on motorized boats, the rental forms, and the logs for LLMC. I noted in comparison to the other 2, he marked category 8 real estate and real estate instead of rental livery, so I just wanted to see what the differentiation was between the 3.
To be honest with you, I don't usually handle these here. This is in-house keeping with Linda Ward handles all of this.
Okay.
And before these permits are issued, everything on here is check marked and made right. We have a lot of people that will apply that haven't even purchased their boat yet.
Sure.
Or their insurance because they're waiting on permission.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times prior to, we'll get an incomplete application, but it is completed prior to them being able to receive their permits.
Okay.
All right.
So Dean, I have another question if I could, Madam Mayor. So I think we're starting to see the impact of the policy that we instituted this year, where people that have vacation rentals are coming to the conclusion now that they have to go get their own boat because there won't be other rental boats available. Is that a fair assessment, Dean?
Yes, sir.
And so we want to, are we actually charging the $100 application fee, or are we waiving that for these folks?
We should be charging
Right.
according to the way our best practices
Okay.
have been. If it's after the November 1st deadline,
Then,
they get,
no matter what the circumstances.
Correct.
They should be, and so we're doing that here.
right,
And we want to do that for everyone else coming.
Correct.
That would, okay. I just want to make sure that we had a consistent policy, whereas there aren't any waivers or exclusions of anybody now realizing that they have to go get a rental boat because it's not available, that we waive that fee, but we're not doing that. So we're gonna end up charging everybody the same way after November 1st.
correct.
Yeah, sure, please.
Well, you said commercial application fee, are you
Right.
talking about that, or are you talking about the late fee?
The late fee,
Yeah.
the late fee, the late fee.
Well, yeah, it's, your commercial application fee is $45 prior to November 1st. If it's after November 1st, then there's an additional $100 added to that for not making the November 1st deadline.
Gotcha.
Plus the fee for the permit.
Plus the 40, so it'd be a total of $145.
Okay, all right. And so my
Yeah.
whole point was, I didn't want to make an exception to that and then not have some different policy for other folks that came, because I think we're gonna be in this routine, Dean, I don't know, I mean, you see this every day.
Yes.
But especially up to May 22nd, when the new slips come in, I think people are gonna come to the realization that those boats that they thought would be available to them are not gonna be available to them. One option is to go get a boat, which means they need to put in an application, pay the application fee and the late fee, because it's after November 1st.
Correct.
Dean, I have one question, and it came to mind, or kind of piggybacking on Patrick's question on this. We'll just use this first one for an example of a homeowner who's renting their home and renting the pontoon with the home. They keep a record of that rental, where they made the transaction and rented it to them for the week, let's say. But beyond that, there's no requirement for them for the renters who are there to keep a log of when they're using the boat, is there?
Not at this moment, there's not.
Has there been any discussion of that?
We talked about it in the, when we were studying this model, but
Yeah.
it's, I don't know if it's fallen off the radar or what. I do remember talks about it, but I don't know why that it's not in there yet, or if we even decided to put that in there. Do you recall?
Meter.
Jim?
Meter,
Yeah, of putting the hour meters on and having each vacation rental
Yeah.
owner.
yeah, well, we
monitor.
did discuss it and kind of kept up with a little bit on a few boats.
Right.
Yours being, your example from your boat being one of them. But we have not gone to the point of implementing a
Yeah,
rule to do that.
Yeah, I think we're talking kind of about two different things. Keeping up with hours, I think, would be wonderful. And you do that by the hour meters on the boat. But it just is, from my personal experience as a practical matter, you don't get people renting there to keep a log of when they take the boat out, especially if they say they got it rented for the whole week, they put it down, they took it out when they got it there and put it up when they left.
Well, it'd just be a total of the hours
Yeah,
used for
just
the
a total.
season. It's the only thing you could come up with.
Right. Yeah.
So is
Yeah,
that
I
what?
think, I think that, you answered my question, they aren't required, the renter is not required to keep a log.
Correct.
And the owner can't keep a log because he's not there, but I do think that keeping up with the hours by using an hour meter is a really good thing if we can ever figure out a practical way to do it.
Okay,
Well, we could, I guess we would just have to, everybody would have to install an hour meter if they don't have one.
Yeah,
And all boats don't, but they'd have to install one. And we'd have to, they could submit with their request for a permit when they started at the beginning of the year, a picture of their hour meter.
yeah,
And at the end of the year, when it's time to renew for a new one, take a picture of their hour meter and we know how many hours they have.
I'll second that.
That would be, Mark, do you have a better idea?
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think if people want to, let's face it, we're getting to a place, we make all decisions based on the model.
Right.
right?
Yep.
And nothing better to know what's in the model other than what's actually happening in the model. I think we'll get some surprises, maybe both ways, but I think we'll get some surprises on
Right.
how little.
I guess there would be value in doing boats other than just this category of boats.
I agree.
Yeah, just, you know, the, tour boats, the, livery boats that are rented out, you know, by the hour. I think that's something we should look at. Mark, could y'all talk about that at your next meeting and, come up with a suggestion? I think John's idea is excellent. You take a picture of the hour meter.
Sounds like you just made some suggestions, I like it.
Good. Good, I'm glad you taking notes, yeah.
Yeah. Now, in the meantime, when the late model was put together for this particular piece, was there an average number of hours given based on number of days that were rented for the model? Or was it just that they were lumped together in those category sums is what I,
It gave a full day's average of hours for each boat that would be used, and it was multiplied by, I believe it's 15 weeks a year for summer season and then shoulder seasons, and the model just kind of, if you said that boat was gonna be used this many days a week,
Yeah.
it calculated it by a day,
Okay, all right, that
not
makes
by a
good sense.
half day or whatever.
sure. And to John Kilby's point, we'll probably be surprised by how little use they
Yeah,
might get. If they're here for a week, they might go out 2 or 3 days, maybe 2 or 3 hours.
I think we'll be surprised at how little a lot of them are used.
But I think it's be good data to have.
Would be great
Yeah.
data. That's why we began the conversation
So
about
how
doing
much
that.
does it cost to install one of those on the
Yeah.
boat?
To install an hour meter?
Yeah.
Hardly,
Nothing.
$50.
More than 100, less than 1,000.
$100.
We would guess 150, 200 is what our guess was. Everybody who didn't ever check.
Gotcha. Well, we can find the answer there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see that that's a problem with making it a requirement. I mean, we talk about getting some accuracy to our model,
Yeah, that,
even with personal permits.
right. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's something, that is something definitely that my department and LAB, we can move forward on and
I do.
try to get implemented. If not by this season, definitely have it ready for next season when people come in and apply. This is nearly required information we need. We need to see an hour meter, we need to see a picture attached to your boat or whatever.
It'll help us prove the accuracy of our model.
Correct.
Mark, did you have a clarification point from
I just
earlier?
wanted to make 2 points.
Yeah.
John Ayub was at our meeting, and he wanted to contest the late fee just because he said, you know, these rules and regs were made after November. If you guys had made these rules, you know, in October, I'd have my stuff in on time. So I think, to your point, we're gonna, you know, if we have several of these show up, I think you're gonna get that argument
Yeah,
more than once. I mean, I'm not in your position, but you might wanna say, hey, just for this season, no late fees, if you agree with that argument.
yeah, so, right. The only problem with that is that good for one, good for all, right? And not everyone is in that position, so,
I did tell him if he wanted to make the argument that he needed to be sitting right here
And he-
making fun
and he
of you guys,
didn't,
he did
right.
not come, so.
so I think at this juncture, we just go with the policies without any dissenting opinion on that. We just go with it, because after today, this is it, we're setting the policy right now.
Yeah.
And so, unless anyone wants any discussion, we are gonna charge everybody.
Well, I think the policy's already set.
It is
We're
set,
just
yeah.
agreeing to abide by the policy.
Right, exactly. So, but thanks for that insight.
Yeah. I do think too, you with the new marina coming in, there's a delay from previous years when people can put their boats in the water, but they're paying the full permit rates too.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
that
had some calls about
consi-
that.
Yeah, the consistency of policy across the board is hugely important.
Absolutely, and that's why I
Good for
brought
one,
I
good
brought
for
it
all
up. Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Dean? Then do
So-
I hear?
If I may, Madam Mayor, so, pending the final vote here, they'll have to submit a second commercial license?
I'm
Well,
sorry?
they'll have to submit another license that will have their policy number, the policy limit and all those
Yeah,
things on
well-
it second time?
Yes, when they
Okay.
come in to do their paperwork, everything will be done and up
Okay.
to date.
Sure. Because like the high hours, they had a couple of changes from when they put it in, and so, just to see those new ones, so. yeah.
Right.
Does that get approved through the LAB at that point, after we set policy today, or does it come back to Marine Commission in 3 months? We set policy today and then you take over?
Well, the policy, as the mayor said, the policy's already been set, we're just following it.
Okay,
These boats that are coming into the model, this is something that typically happens every year.
sure.
Usually by November 1st, all my applications are in, and I'll load these applications into the model and present it to the Marine Commission at the December meeting,
Yeah.
and then they approve them.
Okay.
And then from there on, it's whoever tries to come in from that point on is vetted through this way.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Dean, on that note, do you know offhand how many boats are left in the model for vacation rental and for livery?
Livery, we have one boat left in the model, and for vacation rental, it's either 22 or 23
Okay.
boats available.
Okay.
That'll be, these boats here today will be taken away from that 22 to 23.
So down to about 19 or 20?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion or questions? Do I hear a motion to support the recommendation from the LAB? To approve the request from Mr. Ayub, Howell, and Heinauer for 2020 commercial license?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve these 3 licenses.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, Dean, so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we will move on. Probably just might as well wait there. Our second item under new business is consideration to grant authority to the Parks, Recreation, and Lake Director to approve commercial licenses.
Correct. And basically, what we just done, you just approved 3 boats to come into the model. There's room in the model, but this had to go through the Lake Advisory Board for approval, for recommendation. Then it had to come before this board for recommendation when it would legitimately fit in the model. So what I'm asking for is the authority to be able to grant these if they fit in the model on my own, and then if they do not fit in the model, if somebody comes in and they're asking for a tour boat and they want a concession agreement, but it doesn't fit the model, that's something that will have to come through the Lake Advisory Board and then back up to this board for approval of changes in the model. The only thing I'm asking for is what will legitimately fit.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense because really what's happening here today is they're asking us to do something that we've already said we would do.
Right.
Right.
So I think it's a great idea.
Do you hear a motion then to accept that recommendation?
I'll make the motion that we accept the recommendation to grant authority to the Parks, Recreation, and Lake Director to approve commercial licenses as long as they already fit in the model.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. And our last item is to amend the lake fee schedule. I think there's a copy of that in your packet.
This is the latest and greatest version of the lake fee schedule. There was no recommendations to increase boat permit fees this year. However, there were some increases in penalty fees, citations, fines, such as that. And also it highlighted right just south of midways of your paper, the marina that we are building out there, there's been a little bit of discussion about should we or should we not use any of those slips for commercial. If we are going to, the price we put in there to be determined to see what it should be, what you would think it would be. That does not have to be set today. It just is a placeholder in here to say if we go down that road or whatever, then that's somewhere that we need to come up with a fee. The next one down below that is weekly boat slip fee. In the new marina, over next to the water slide, there's gonna be about 12 slips. it'll be one-sided, dock going out. And that's for people to come in and spend 2 hours to go eat or to go enjoy amenity at the, beach or whatever. Lake Lure Tours and also Linda up front has had multiple people each year come in that may be renting a vacation rental home off the lake or something, and they brought their boat. They've paid for an expensive permit to be on the lake, and they've asked us many times, is there a place I can rent to park my boat on the water? So we got to thinking that maybe those 12 slips, if we could double use them, if it's an open day, people can use them as they want. But if somebody comes in and wants to rent a slip for a week, we can go out and reserve one of those slips for a weekly rental. And I got to thinking about the price for a non-resident to rent a slip for a year is $1,500 a year. So we wanted to make more of an impact where people wouldn't try to use these in that style. So we just came up with a round number of $100 a week. That's a suggestion. It's up to this board to determine if they wanted it to be more or not. If that was rented out, each week of the year, it'd be $5,200 for a slip opposed to $1,500 for a yearly slip. And that would also be on top of the visitor purchasing a boat permit as well.
Okay, and, I guess you propose it would be that price regardless of the time of year?
I would say so,
I would think so, yeah.
and that would keep it
Since
simple.
we have, you said there'll be 12 available,
Mhm.
I can't imagine there ever being a demand of whether people would want 12, but wouldn't it be a good idea maybe to identify half of them that would not be rented so that we wouldn't want to get in a situation where, folks who live around the lake went down there and didn't have a place to
Right.
park?
That's a very good point.
Yeah,
They still have the docks there by the ABC store.
okay.
And
yeah.
then they would have the whole backside of this dock too.
Okay, so there would be plenty,
Yeah, I would think
yeah,
so,
okay, as
but,
long as there's plenty of parking for,
right.
And there's still the plan for the hot docks at what I'm calling boat ramp B to go in, so people, when they
Yes.
drop their boats, so they can pull in there temporarily too.
okay.
So there's areas there, but I do think this would be a good idea for us to open up a weekly rental. And, my suggestion's $100, but
Yeah.
I've really got no factual basis on that. I'm open for suggestions to what do you guys think? A non-resident, if they're coming down here for a week, that permits, I'm not for sure what the permit prices are, but, well, it's right here in front of me.
$300.
I don't have glasses on, but
One excuse after another.
so, they're coming in and they're spending several $100s to put their boat on the lake, plus, another $100 fee. I think it kind of fits the model. Maybe we could try it for a year
Yeah.
and see what kind of response we get out of it, and look at it as fee changes for next year if we want it to go up or down.
Yeah, I do have to wonder too, if something like that with a weekly boat slip fee would prevent, you have people, they drive a long way with their boats, maybe not understanding the full depth of what the policies are here, being a private lake. And some people probably opt for that non-resident annual motorized boat permit, but there are only so many of those in the model.
Right.
And I wonder if this would be a better fit to encourage people to take the weekly.
Right.
Versus a non-resident annual, because once those are sold in the model for the year, they're gone, right?
Right.
We can't keep track of whether or not they've gone back to Ohio with their boat after a week or not.
We are looking at trying to track that this
Okay.
year if we can. It'll be a little harder to track from town hall, but the marina has a little more insight when they sell permits. And we're looking at if we have people that come in and they come here on 4th of July weekend. The only way they can be on the lake on the weekend is by the annual permit. That's $550. Well, they'll sit and tell Sonia, say, we're having to pay this, but we're only staying here this week, then we're going back home. So we're looking to see if we can't recirculate that permit and say, Okay, we sold 75, well, this one's going back home, they're only using it for a week. Can we sell another one in the place of that one, since it is an annual slip?
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion?
I have, since we have Dean here and Mark and Walking Encyclopedia, Gary Johnson here from LAB, can the three of y'all kind of quickly, and I should have asked this, thought of it earlier. So we're at $200 for a resident annual motorized boat permit. How long's it been 200? Can y'all?
It's been around 3 years.
About 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years.
We worked it up between 150 and 200. What's that one? We broke it. Then we went up.
I believe we raised that when we raised the commercial fees too, which I think is
Yeah.
3 years, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So 200's been for 3 years? And then before that, it was 175 or 150?
I think it was like 175 or maybe it was 180. We talked about going up 10%, and that was gonna put it on an off number, so we would round it up to 200. If I remember correct.
Well, I'll just make the comment, $200 a year is a bargain for having a boat permit on this lake. As bad as we need dredging money and everything like that, I'll just make that comment. Observation.
Any other comments or discussion on that?
I just, I mean, I think we're not gonna give you an answer now. I think on the 100, we have time though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not even
Yeah,
worried
both
about
of
it
these
until
are,
May.
yeah,
Yeah, so
plenty of time.
I think what we should do is defer, and we'll talk about it, set some rates. I don't know if the LAB is gonna take a look at what the rate should be, or if you just wanna leave it with us. we'll get back.
We could look at this again at the June Marine
Yeah.
Commission meeting. The docks
Yeah.
won't be done till the end of May.
There won't be
So
too late
it-
a time? Okay.
We still should be really good on time then.
And we
Okay.
are still selling, I mean,
Right.
we still have slots open, so you know,
Correct.
we'll see how that aggregates over the next few weeks too, I think is really important.
Correct.
To see where we actually end up and if we still have demand for
Yeah.
residents and non-residents.
I think, first of all, Dean, I'd like to say, thank you for that out-of-the-box thinking for that kind of stuff. I mean, we need to do that. And the big picture, and this is for everyone's benefit, that we're trying to do with all of Dean's operations on the park side and lake operations side is make that model self-sustaining. That means everything we charge for lake use fees, any money that we have coming in, needs to balance the books of what you're spending. And we're short. We're not there right now. It depends what you put in that model, but we're at least a couple $100,000 short within that model. We'll take a closer look at what those numbers are. So any revenue that we can bring in to help us balance the books is really important, because in the bigger picture, again, this is for everyone's benefit, when we balance the books for lake operations, and then we go to the North Carolina authorities like the LGC that's gonna give us loans for the bigger stuff that we need to do, including dredging, the sewer treatment, and the dam, they take a look at our balance sheet and they say, hey, this town is taking care of business, and it makes their decision-making a whole lot easier, even to the point of getting us better rates, longer-term rates. All that goes into when they look at the numbers. So it's real important that we get the books balanced for the lake operations, which includes things like Commissioner Kilby's talking about, perhaps, taking a look at the user fees, bringing that in there, maybe shedding some of the expenses that we have to make the books balanced. So we're looking at that real close. We're looking at this budget cycle, so that innovative thinking, Dean, to bring some of this stuff in is all gonna help. And it benefits the people of Lake Lure, so we'll continue to take a look at that.
I do have one more question. Resident annual motorized weekday only boat permit. How many of those do we sell? Have any idea?
I don't. I don't do any of the sales, but I can go up front. If you'd like, I could go up front and see if Linda could run us a report.
Well, I don't think we need it right now. It might be something if you could do that and send us an email, I'd be interested in knowing that. I don't know why we would sell a resident annual motorized weekday-only boat rental permit, because I promise you, nobody can police it to know what they're doing.
Right.
So I think maybe we might,
I think the idea, well, Gary,
If I'm not mistaken, and like I say, I'm trying to remember, I think of the weekday only permits annual last year was in the 40 to 50 range. That's what we had last year.
well, I would, if I were not, well, I'm not saying, I have to be careful what I say, don't I? I don't know why we sell those. Let me just say that.
John, I think the idea was, you have a number of fishermen that come up and like to fish.
This is resident.
Oh, okay.
This is resident annual motorized weekday.
Because there is a fishing boat permit. Some
Yeah,
fishing boats
you-
have that higher.
Yeah, and there's some, well, there's some, everybody who has a boat, who would be a resident, doesn't live on the lake too. So I think there were some of those who were, and the idea was, well, if they're, not gonna be there on out on Saturdays and Sundays, when we have the most traffic, then, we should encourage that. I think the train of thought at the time,
Oh,
it may
to
be,
push
it could be flawed, but that was
How are we gonna oversee it?
a different color sticker, right?
Well, it's the
Or a
same,
different letter on it.
yeah, different letter tells us if it's a weekday only, and if you see it on the weekend going by, it's like, that one's not allowed out here.
Oh,
Yeah.
How many tickets we were out for that last year?
well, I'd like to know how many of those permits did we issue last year?
I don't,
Oh, I don't know,
I
but
don't
will you
know.
get that information?
I
Maybe even
definitely
let
will.
Linda go down through here
Yeah.
and give us the number of.
I'll have her, she can print off a sheet for the total of the end of the year. And it breaks down each classification of how much was sold, how much money was made off of each permit and all
That'd
that.
be great information, I think, for us
Yeah.
to have.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
sure.
Anything else? And we'll agree that we'll
Not this
address, amend the late fee schedule at our next, Marine Commission meeting, which will be in
June. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Is there any other business then? We have nothing else on the agenda.
We don't need to vote on this, the schedule.
Oh, the Marine Commission schedule?
The fee
The
schedule.
fee schedule?
Fee schedule, yeah.
Do I hear a motion to
we
postpone
need to-
voting on
Oh,
this
I'll
until-
make a motion to postpone the lake fee schedule amendments for specific topics relating to commercial boat slip fee and weekly boat slip fee to the next Marine Commission meeting in June.
Second?
Well, you know,
Yes.
it might be wise for us to go ahead and vote the fee schedule in, except for the two
That's what he's
to be
doing.
determined, but the rest of it be voted in.
That's why I think that's what we're.
Oh,
going.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, with the two exceptions, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the lake fee schedule as amended, pending the June meeting to discuss further commercial boat slip fee and weekly boat slip fee.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. If there is no other business, then do I hear a move to adjourn?
I'll make that move.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.